All right, we are live with the Max Montoya. I'm talking
Wow,
about the greatest guard in Bengals history.
that's
Four-time
right.
Pro Bowler, two-time Super Bowler, all AFC, all Pro. I mean, this guy did it all in his NFL career, and he is on our show.
Wow.
And we are so honored to have you on the show,
Yes.
Mr. Montoya. Thank
Well,
you for joining us.
thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have LA Bengals fan with us, old school Bengals fan who has been following the team since its inception. And of course, our usual host, John Sheeran and Dr. Hodgie the Electric
That's right.
Smudgy.
That's right.
So we have a lot to cover today. We want to talk about Max and how he came to be such a great player, his career trajectory. We want to talk about what he's doing now. We want to talk about the Bengals now and the NFL now and all that kind of a stuff. So first, uh, Mark, I know you had some questions for Max and about the Super Bowl runs. LA
Oh,
Bengals, yeah.
yeah. How are you,
Hey,
Max? Real honor to be with you today. You played for two completely different Bengal teams. While some of the personnel was the same, the Forrest Gregg team and the Sam Wyche team were completely different squads. Was there one of the two styles that you preferred more?
I really loved the second Super Bowl with Sam Wyche and uh, Bruce Coslett, offensive coordinator, and those two guys with their minds. We had a very dynamic offense as compared to the first Super Bowl in 81, 82. That was more of a ground and pound Pete Johnson type of thing. And the second Super Bowl, there was a lot going on. It was a lot of fun.
You actually lead right into my second question because I said, let's talk about the Sam Wyche team. You're talking about one of the most innovative minds in football at the time. I mean, most people don't realize the Bills took that blueprint and went to 4 Super Bowls with it. So everybody kind of credits, Marv Levy, but this was all Sam Wyche's innovations. How much fun was it playing? I mean, all the different huddles and, give us some insight on that.
Like I said, it was so innovative, and it just seemed like week to week we would come up with different things. And of course, Sam Wyche and Bruce Coslett, offensive coordinator, they were just so innovative, and just the sugar huddle and trying to catch the defense off sides all the time, get a free 5 yards because they were changing, nickel defense, and we're trying to keep them out of the nickel defense, and we'd catch them with 12 guys on the field. So those were easy 5 yards penalties.
Yeah. Wasn't the sugar huddle, wasn't that initially called the cuddle huddle and you guys didn't like the name of it?
It was. I don't know who came up with it, but probably Sam with the cuddle huddle. I think,
Right.
and more of a sugar huddle. We're trying to get them guys and we're always watching the sidelines, the opposing team sideline, waiting for them to switch their nickel backs coming in with maybe their specialized pass rusher. So as soon as they start running on, we'd go on the line, and it was just set hut and boom, and we'd catch them off sides or
Yeah.
yeah.
Now you are one of the few people who's gotten to play in 2 different Super Bowls for 2 different coaches
Yeah.
with the same team, but it was still. So what was the different experiences? I think you kind of answered this, but the difference between the Forrest Gregg in Michigan and then the Sam Wyche in Florida, Super Bowl experiences. Anything notable or in
Well,
terms of the preparation and the feel going into the games?
really, the first Super Bowl, I was in my 3rd year, so I was pretty young back then, and really everything was kind of new and different, and you're just totally different. But the second Super Bowl, of course, like I said, our offense was just high powered. The first Super Bowl, we were more ground and pound, had a decent defense, uh, really good ball control with Kenny Anderson, pinpoint accuracy kind of passer, which made it a lot of fun. Chris Collinsworth was, I think, a rookie back then.
Yes.
Yeah, real good wide receiver, David Verser, and a few other guys. But we had big Pete Johnson, and I think a lot of people always remember we got stuffed on the goal line. Big Pete ran like 3 times, and of course he can't jump, so we couldn't go top with Big Pete. And then I think we threw a little flare out to Charles Alexander got stuffed on the goal line too, so we got shut out there.
Yeah, and it turns out there was only 10 guys on the field, I think, for the Niners, but they had I think it was it Hacksaw Reynolds that makes the tackle on Alexander. That's
right.
yeah. You have the right guy in the right place, you can have 6 guys out there and they're going to make the tackle. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's how about the feel going into the game? You guys had, nightlife before, Super Bowl week coming in. Did Sam kind of let you guys enjoy more?
And it was 2 totally different Super Bowls. The one up in Pontiac, Michigan, there was 5 feet of snow up there. Of course, we played inside the Pontiac Silverdome, but outside it was freezing cold or snow everywhere. There's really not much to do. When we're down in Miami, of course, you have, beautiful sunshine, just a beautiful place. You're outside all the time. I think we even went one time during the week, we went deep sea fishing with a bunch of offensive line and maybe boomers. So stuff like that was kind of fun. But then again, you got to remember, we had a game and you got to concentrate every day that we had practice.
Yeah, great. So
yeah, Max, I have a question for you. So, when you look at your longevity, back before we had all the modern kind of techniques for players prolonging their career, if I remember, I remember reading that you had a heart murmur your senior year of high school, and your football career was in jeopardy.
It was.
And you end up making a Pro Bowl at age 37. I mean, that's the kind of longevity you had. I mean, when you leave the Bengals, I mean, it was a business decision, as I understand. But we wanted to keep you. But maybe like with Whitworth, they think, okay, this guy's 33, 34. You go on and have 5 more excellent years with the Raiders, play 66 games. I mean, it's incredible for that era. The 80s and the 90s is unheard of. So
right.
So how do you explain your preparation? Because Tom Brady has made a lot of money off of playing into his early 40s, and he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, so he is the athleticism and the grind of the offensive lineman back in those. I mean, you can make a lot of money. I just want you to know if you share your diet secrets, maybe in the book form or something.
About that, I don't know what it is. It's just I think I stayed pretty much not injury free, but serious injury free for most of my career. Really only had one serious knee injury, a couple broken fingers or hands. Not a whole bunch. I was pretty fortunate. One bad back. Other than that, pretty fortunate. Didn't have any major serious injuries, and just working at the game and enjoying the game, not only year to year but week to week, and enjoying the preparation and all that business. So just being very fortunate.
Yeah. I mean, I know, John, you wanted to ask him about Coach McNally.
Absolutely. There was an article about your offensive line coach a couple weeks ago in The Athletic, and just talked about just the intricacies of his style and the way that he was kind of brought up into the role of the offensive line coach under Forrest Gregg. When you think of Coach McNally, what's really what comes to mind in terms of just his coaching style and his innovative ways? And as a follow-up after that, what do you think his impact on offensive line play looks like today?
Oh, really good. When I think about Jim McNally, I think about, number one, he's a little zany, a little nutty, a little crazy, which makes it fun, but quite a technician. He never played offensive line. He came up through, I think he was a walk-on at Buffalo, University of Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
D lineman, little 5'11", probably 240, 250 pound D lineman. So he never really played offensive line, but he brought a lot of technicalities to us, and it just intrigued him on how we worked and how things worked as an offensive lineman. And it was kind of funny that he would actually bring a tape measure out to practice, and he would kind of crawl around our feet, and we'd take little steps, and he'd measure our steps, and it was like a little mouse running around big elephants. It's amazing he never got stepped on. But we'd take 6-inch steps, and if it was more than 6 inches, you're not doing it right, or we'd take a kick step, and very technical, and I enjoyed that part of it too.
Yeah, it was absolutely different, and in the way that he coached, I think he kind of I don't want to say revolutionized the game, but it definitely it worked well with Sam Wyche's type of offensive style and the schemes that you were starting to run. And in the last 20 or so years or so, like the value of offensive line play has increased exponentially. It's not only just about the tackles anymore; it's about the guards, the position that you played. When you see now like the uprise in value in guards, do you feel more validated because of the level of play that you had back in the day when they weren't as valued as much? And do you feel a little bit jealous that they're now starting to get paid a lot like tackles more and more?
No, and they should be. And I actually came in as an offensive tackle. I was at UCLA, played offensive tackle, was drafted as a tackle to the Bengals, and through some injuries and so forth, my rookie year, they put me in at guard, and I never played guard before, the interior, and just had a knack for it. And I enjoyed the aspect of pulling and trapping and double checking linebackers and blitzes and different things that you have to do. I really enjoyed that, but I was more of a pulling type of guard, and I was pretty good at it, I guess. I wasn't real fast, but I had some good quickness.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, Max, a number of people have been asking about your restaurant, because a lot of people, they didn't get to see you play, they're younger, but they know your presence with the Pan subs and the Montoya's restaurant, your Mexican restaurant. I don't know if it's still open or not.
Yeah, still open, still doing it. Gosh, we opened that in 1985 or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I had work back then, and it's still going. And then when I retired, I knew I wanted to stay in the food business, so I went right into the Penn Station East Coast sub thing that we have here in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky is where we're at. It's a Philadelphia cheesesteaks and teriyaki fries, fresh cut fries and all that business. So good
it's
food.
Incredible.
Good
stuff. I know. And I mean, it's just, I compare again, no offense, but I compare to Tom Brady, and they say he's never even had a strawberry. But,
really?
And again, yeah, and I look at your longevity, and it gives me encouragement about my own diet, because I'm like, I can really, I can have the Philly cheesesteak, and my career, it's a little different, not as physically demanding, with the hosting the show.
Yeah.
But, I feel like maybe my longevity, with the.
I think you're going to go a long time being a Muppet. You don't look like you've aged.
Thank you. No, really, I haven't. No.
So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But, Max, I just want to say, when we're talking about the restaurants, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, you got a lot of money from the Los Angeles Raiders to go home.
Yeah.
But you decided to keep your family in the Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, and you knew you were coming back, and you're still there, and you're dedicated, and you helped build the city with your wonderful presence. I just want to say thank you on behalf of me and all the fans for, your love for the city and the team.
Well, thank you. It's been a great experience, and we both, my wife and I, we grew up in Southern California and really loved it out there, and then playing with the Raiders too in LA, and got to play in front of our family and friends and such. That was a great experience. But we just really enjoyed Cincinnati, the tri-state area, and just the quality of life that they have out here. So it's been good. Plus, we got to live next to the Zargars, Dr. Zargar, there in Villa Hills, Kentucky. So I remember those good times.
Yeah, I mean, I remember they used to tell us about how they weren't very good at mowing the lawn, and sometimes it would go down the hill, and they were fortunate enough to live next to an offensive lineman who could drag the riding lawnmower out of the hill.
Dr. Zargar was a brilliant doctor, but he wasn't so good at gardening and cutting grass, and especially on the hillside.
And he was not.
Yeah, it made it interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if you moved there first or he did, but maybe it was strategic, trying to move next offensive lineman, knowing he would need the help,
Yeah, that's right, and vice versa. Him being a doctor might help me also, but yeah, we had a good relationship, and it was a lot of fun living next to Dr. Zargar and the boys.
Well, thank you. I know Hodgie has a question.
Please. First of all, Max, Mr. Montoya, it's such an honor to have you on the show. What a big deal for us, really. I wanted to say you blocked for a lot of the greats, Archie Griffin, Pete Johnson, Ickey Woods. You got your James Brooks, Bo Jackson, and of course Marcus Allen. So, of course, we know that most running backs, they need a great line to be successful. But sometimes a running back can help make the line even greater. So I'm thinking about your Corey Dillon, for example, in 1997. What do you think? How do you frame the current situation with getting someone like, let's say, Joe Mixon back? How that seems to be very important, wouldn't you say? You could expand on that.
AJ Green, you got to have some tools out there.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow's coming in. He's going to be a rookie. That's of course a Heisman Trophy winner, #1 pick, but still, when you come to the NFL, it's a whole different ball game than college, and it's great that he's got some weapons out there with the Mixon rather. Nixon. And AJ Green, thank goodness he's coming back, and a few other guys. So hopefully their offensive line, though, you've got to have the boys up front. If you don't have an offensive line, he's going to be running for his life.
Well, and if I could follow up on that, because that was my next question. So I know it's hard sometimes to take things down to one thing, but if you had to, the essence of a great offensive line, the essence, one thing, what is it?
Boy, you've got to have cohesiveness between the 5 guys. I always think of it as a fist. You've got 5 guys, and they got to come together like a powerful fist. And that's what makes a great offensive line. You don't all have to be #1 draft picks. In fact, when we had the #1 offense in the NFL in the late 80s, I was a 7th rounder. Joe next to me, he was, I think, a 7th or 8th. Bruce Kozerski, Bruce Reimers was a 6th round picker. You just got to have some guys that truly love what they're doing, and a heck of a coach, Jim McNally.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Max. So you talk about the offensive line. And that's true. I want to talk about our offensive line because the Bengals management believes in them. Even though there is a bit of question mark, but there's some guys that are solid that we know, and there's some guys, we get Jonah Williams back, and there's some, guys we don't know. We don't know. Michael Jordan could be a starter, maybe not. Suafilo could be. Fred Johnson. We're still figuring it out. But I want to ask you this: you played with Ken Anderson, who was one of the top rushing quarterbacks, a couple of years. And you played with Boomer, who bought time with his play fakes, right?
Yeah.
And Burrow,
he had a heck of an offensive running game too. You got to have that to fool the defense with your play fakes.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and Joe Burrow now, this guy is just brilliant at evading would-be, sackers and pass rushers and whatnot. Yeah, he's just so brilliant at it. Yeah. And so even if the offensive line is not there yet, do you think with a guy like Burrow, that will help him transition and he will not get rattled or gun shy or those kind of things?
That's the big question mark, getting gun shy, because then you start seeing ghosts. You start thinking you're going to get hit from one side or the other. He might be good at avoiding a couple rushes, but you can't live on that. You've got to be able to trust your people out front and trust your wide receivers to make the right breaks and to be open. And you got to have a decent running game to keep the defense honest. So it all goes hand in hand. You just have to have a good team to put it all together. But you got to have a great leader. And that's what I love about Joe Burrow. He seems to be a great leader. And he can make things happen, much like Joe Montana did to us in the Super Bowls and throughout his career. He just made things happen.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Max, and really, we look at Burrow, we see that kind of Montana type potential.
Yeah.
And really, I think for you and the Bengals Legends, how important would it be for them to finish the job that you guys have started? Because you guys got so close twice. I mean, when they talk about Super Bowl history and the greatest games and the closest games, or they talk about the greatest teams that should have won the Super Bowl, it's you guys.
Yeah.
And so you're champions in our hearts. It's just a game, and the game could go either way.
But the 49ers were underdogs in the second one.
Yeah. So how important is it for you and those Bengals Legends? I'm thinking of the guys that we knew when we were there, and how important is it for you to see Burrow, a guy like him, a true winner, finish the job?
Sure. And I think he might be the guy to take him to the world championship. But I'd like to see him just win a playoff game for number one. You know, I don't want to back old stuff, but we got to win a playoff game and then advance, because it's like 2 different seasons. You know, you play 16 regular game seasons, and then you play the next season, which is the playoffs, and it's game by game, and it's one and done. So you got to take care of business.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, you have more questions? I have one final question. If you have other questions for Joe, please, for Max, please go ahead.
Yeah, I have one, and it's just going to try to, you know, we're dealing with the fan base right now that a big majority of them have never seen a playoff win. And I keep trying to tell people on my show, hey, this is a process. Can you see the parallel between, because you were on a team that kind of ended and then rebuilt and then came back to the second Super Bowl in the same decade. And can you see that kind of transition going on right now with the building pieces, you know, as we move from a Andy to Joe and from a Lewis to Taylor kind of regime? I mean, I see those pieces being built, and that's why I'm so optimistic about the future.
Yeah, I am optimistic too. I came in to the Cincinnati Bengals in 1979, and that first year in '79, we were 4-12. We were not very good. In fact, we were pretty bad. The next year, my second year, I think we were 6-10, and then the year after that, we went to the Super Bowl. So that I can see that progression going on with these guys, the nucleus of guys, and then now the addition of Burrows coming on. Which hopefully he'll be a great quarterback and lead them to a Super Bowl champion. But, you know, the guys with the new coach and players and the old players, they got to buy into the new coaching style and the direction that the coach has taken them. So I think with that, you know, it's a chemistry type thing that you have, and they can go, you know, I feel very optimistic about this.
Okay, guys, John, any final questions?
Yeah, I just had a quick one. A couple years ago, the Bengals had their all 50th anniversary team squad. You were obviously named to as one of the greatest players in franchise history. Did you come down to Cincinnati to be a part of those festivities that year?
Yeah, in fact, it was a great thing then, and I wish the Bengals would do more of that.
Right.
They did have a big celebration of the top 50 guys, and I was very humbled to be. I think I was like number 13 or something. I forget what it was. But it was kind of nice to be voted in there. And then they had all the top 50 guys there and introduced everybody. And like I said, Cincinnati is a great place, and it's a great sports town. And the Bengal fans just love the players and the old guys. And it was quite an honor.
That's exactly right. Like, the fans want more of that recognition of past players and legends of the team. And like you were kind of alluding to, it would be nice if the players had that recognition in itself. So I'm not trying to put you on the spot and call out the management or anything like this, but is that like a common, just like kind of a desire for former players to have maybe not a ring of honor, but more occasions like that where you're honoring past players like that?
Well, you know, I do like the Ring of Honor idea. You know, I think as a player, as an old player, you know, we gave our blood, sweat, and tears for the city and the organization. And for those players that did that and excelled very well in the NFL, I think it's a great thing, not only for the players, but for the fans, because the fans are fantastic. And like you guys and the people that listen in to our broadcasts and everything else and to reminisce and everything, it's a great thing. I think that it's a tradition that should be carried on. And you know, I hate to say it, but I finished my last 5 years with the Raiders, and they're kind of like that. Once a Raider, always a Raider.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Max, I think, Hodgie, do you have any final question?
If you don't mind.
No, please.
It's more because I want to end on a really high note. And I was thinking about what Super Bowl 23 meant for a lot of us, not just Bengals fans, but people. People don't remember that Super Bowl 23 was the beginning of the really big Super Bowl halftime show. I'm talking about your Harleys, your dancers with the huge playing cards, the Elvis Presto. The show was broadcast in the halftime show was broadcast in 3D. I think you mentioned once, Mr. Montoya, that your biggest memory of the game was that Diana Ross sang the national anthem.
Right. Yeah.
So I wonder, like, what is the best memory you have from Super Bowl 23?
23. Wow, best memory. I think just my family and friends were there, and my kids. They were young at that time. They might have been 5 or 6 years old at that time, and just them guys enjoying all the experience of that stuff. As a player, it's great to go in there and play. Especially coming out before kickoff, you come out of the tunnel and it's the Super Bowl. But I think just enjoying that with all your family and friends is a big deal.
Thank you.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I just I read something on your Wikipedia page about you are training horses in Hebron, Kentucky. Is that true?
We do. I got into driving horses actually competitively, and I don't know who puts all that stuff on Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think it's Dadio.
It is.
Well,
it could be. But we got into it. My daughter actually rode horses. Of all places, she started taking lessons when we were playing for the LA Raiders, and she took lessons with Patty, my wife, up there in LA. And then she carried that on when we came back to Northern Kentucky and started riding competitively and was very successful with that. And then my wife and I, we said, well, when she goes to college, and she kind of rode for University of Kentucky and everything, and we thought, well, let's do something we can. I don't know why, but I know I didn't want to ride a horse. I'm too big. So I thought I'd just start driving, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, we have to thank Mr. Montoya for giving us so much of his time.
Yeah.
It's been so awesome.
It's great to see you guys.
Yeah.
You didn't look like that when you were little kids.
No, we've grown in odd ways.
Beard, a mustache.
Yeah, we had to get the mustache installed.
A lot of hormone therapy, a lot of hormones to get us to this point.
But Max, you, by the way, everybody knows you look fantastic as always. Nancy Brown, Mike Brown's wife, was right. She supposedly had a poster of you. She was trying to hide from Mike Brown. I read, because she was so infatuated with you.
Fine wine.
That's a rumor, I think. Yeah. And then also Forrest Gregg's wife kind of liked Anthony Munoz. She might have.
Oh man. I don't want to. I don't know. I know you leaving the Bengals was a financial thing, but I just wonder if Mike Brown was maybe jealous. I don't know what was going on. It was a very.
He let me go. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Never thought of it. You're brilliant.
But you look great. You look great, and like all offensive linemen, I think the only athletes, who get in better shape. I don't want to say better shape, but healthier, for the long term health.
Kind of funny, when the NFL guys retire, all the skinny, good-looking guys get fat, and all the fat, ugly guys get kind of thin, and
it works out.
Better looking. I don't know.
Yeah, you look fantastic. Well, yeah, I'm gonna stick to that diet, Max. I'm gonna stick to your
Philly cheesesteaks.
Penn Station, cheesesteaks.
And Montoya's, by the way, was a fantastic restaurant when I was there. Authentic. It's very great service. It's very comfortable environment. If you haven't been to Montoya's, definitely go. Yeah. You will love it. Yeah. You will love it. Great experience. So Max, thank you so much for your time. And we hope to have you again on the show if possible, if you have the time later.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching.
When the Bengals go to the playoffs, and we're looking for that big playoff win that start their next greatness.
Dynasty. Yeah.
We'll bring you back. If it's okay, we'll bring you back on the show when that happens.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wonderful. And thank you for watching. And we will see you next time. SVT. Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.